You're
I had
good.
a long couple of days. Hello, and welcome to Flick Fridays, the show where we review movies that we aren't qualified to talk about, but will anyways. I'm Katie,
I'm Brennan.
and today we are going to be reviewing The Kissing Booth. I have some problems. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Instead of doing PNN every week, we're going to be doing these movie reviews over Zoom because we can't go out and do the stuff we normally do, but we still want to give everybody in Perry the content that they deserve.
The Kissing Booth. Oh boy. Oh God.
It was rough. It was rough to watch.
So bad. First of all, just right off the bat, why are they rich? What was the reason?
And by the second movie, they turned poor somehow. I'm not sure.
I know, it was like, we'll get to it. We'll get to it in our second review, but that was why. Okay, so starting off from the beginning, we get this narration premise thing, because that's in every movie, that's what you get.
Right.
What was happening with the mom, and like, why was it just exposition? I didn't get it.
I don't know. She was kind of like joking about her mom's death almost, and it was kind of weird.
They literally just moved right past it, like nothing ever happened.
It was very weird.
Why? And it was really fast too. It was like, this is the one thing at this random arcade in what is that? It's in GTA. What is that carnival place?
Oh, Santa Monica Pier.
That one. They're in Santa Monica Pier. And for some reason, no one else is in the arcade, even though it's like a really touristy spot. Anyways, all of my notes are just questions. Like, what is happening? Why is this happening?
Yeah. The movie doesn't make sense.
It left me with more questions than I had answers. The writing? Why?
Very childish, I would say.
It
dramatic.
Very, very childish. What was happening?
It was almost like it's aimed not even for teenagers, but little kids.
It's what a child would think a movie about being a teenager would be like. There's a lot of leaps to jump through, and none of it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. So we start off with, I don't even remember her name. What was it? Elle?
Yeah, it was Elle.
Elle, and the little brother's name, I know Noah, and then what's the friend's name? I don't remember.
Oh, Lee?
Lee, okay.
Yeah.
They literally pop their names up at the beginning and then don't say them until halfway through the movie again.
I just think it's weird how they're like such best friends, like boy and girl, but she's attracted to her brother that almost looks the exact same as her best friend.
I will say I'm very glad that they didn't make it that she ended up being into Lee, or like Lee was into her, because that's been done so many times. I will say I was appreciative of that, but
yeah, I just thought it was weird.
It was really weird.
They're like best friends.
I know. So we start off with them at the pool at Lee's fancy house in Hollywood Hills, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just talking. Okay, this is another thing. Side note, literally her first line is, "This dude texted the whole school this." It's not a plot point, but you can't just text the whole school. I feel like that's in so many
that's
high school cliché movies. Why?
Nobody knows everybody in high school, and they act like everybody knows each other in the movie.
Nobody likes anybody in high school either, so.
Yeah.
It was a lot of like weird eye candy stuff that I got really weirded out by.
It was very uncomfortable.
It was. I was just sitting back and was like, what is happening? Why?
I couldn't have told you what was happening.
Again, there's a lot of like plot points that don't make sense, right? Where you can't follow the logic all the way.
Right.
Like, they have uniforms, but you can wear different things on different days, because she kept changing outfits.
Yeah, and their ties are so loose. I feel like that wouldn't even like even the guys' ties were always so loose. I'm like that. I don't think that would go with the principal. You know what I mean?
Because the principal seems like the kind of like the generic like no nonsense principal of like
Yeah.
this fancy preparatory school where for some reason there's only one British person. Like there's just one random British person.
I don't
Why?
know.
Why? Choices. So we meet Noah and we find out that she has a crush on him. Ooh.
Somehow this
Boring.
dumb guy goes to Harvard. Noah, this dumb jock, goes to Harvard somehow.
First of all, he has to have been suspended so many times from all of these fights that he seemingly gets into at the drop of a hat.
But somehow they accepted him into Harvard.
And then it's still a lot of eye candy stuff. Like I feel like they're trying to make it for everyone where it's like guys and girls can both appreciate it. They just have him shirtless at home for no reason.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I wear like a giant sweatshirt and glasses when I'm home by myself.
I usually just wear a t-shirt and shorts.
It feels like they just hired everyone based off of their looks and not their acting abilities.
Pretty much, honestly.
Like,
some of the actors were kind of sketchy, not gonna lie.
Definitely. I feel like one thing that they did okay with was kind of like the joking manner back and forth between friends. How you can insult each other as a joke and it's funny. Yeah. They definitely got that right, but it just felt so scripted because it was, but there's a way to make it not feel like that.
Yeah, it's almost like you knew like what was coming because the writing was so bad throughout the whole thing. You knew what somebody was going to say.
Mm-hmm. It seemed very much like a parody of those high school movies.
Yeah.
But it wanted to take itself seriously at moments. I felt like this would have been so much better had they just made it a full parody and they had acknowledged it. That would have made it so much better because you can laugh at it and say, ha ha, that's a movie trope. It's just, what?
I don't know if you noticed this, but when he was like jumping into the pool, the special effects were not like the best.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Okay, this is way later in the film. We're getting off track already. But a film, I say, as if it's this movie, this
great film,
trash fire. The green screening when she jumped on that trampoline.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, that part too. It was like almost the same thing when he jumped into the pool. It was just bad. Yeah. And they tried to cover it up with different angles, but it didn't work.
No, it looked like we green screened it in.
I know.
We're not good at editing things. So if you...
This is a Netflix original. It should be good.
They have money. You have the ability to make things good. So why not make it good? Like, they have other things that are excellent.
Yeah.
But it just feels like they spend all of the money on the sets of things that are very unrealistic for a high school. And then they ran out of money to pay everyone else. Like this.
That must have been what happened.
Okay, first let's talk about the popular girls. This never happens. This never happens. The OMGs. Oh boy.
I know. Nobody acts like that either.
It feels like a very, very poor Mean Girls parody.
I don't know. I find them kind of annoying because they're like mean, but they're nice at the same time, and it doesn't make sense.
It's a trope. I get it, where they're very catty and backhanded because they have motives. It's a thing that can be done well, like in Mean Girls. But when you parody something so much, it just gets to the point where nothing is based in reality and it just feels like this fantasy world. So the OMGs invite Elle to a party, a fancy party, or is it at Noah's house? Is that the second one? It's just all, I watched these in one day and it's just all muddled together because it's all the same movie. And
pretty much.
by the end of the day, I had finished them by like 3. My brain was just melted. I couldn't think of anything.
They're bad.
You see Elle at Lee's party. The OMG girls are there. I feel like Noah and Lee's parents are like cool parents, whatever. But they wouldn't be giving alcohol to children?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they
They
have.
didn't even mention that they were like their parents were gone or anything. Kind of just party happened.
Okay, high school parties, sometimes you have drinks there, whatever. It's a thing. But you wouldn't have a bunch of alcohol for teenagers. They're 16.
I don't even know where they would have gotten it from.
It feels like they're all like acting 30 when they're fully like half that age. So she gets really drunk and like parties on the table. Wowee. It's scandalous. Then she wakes up in Noah's bed. What?
I don't know.
It's just a lot of cringy writing of like this inner monologue that no one has. I mean, I guess you have it, but not like, oh my God, what happened? Oh boy. And eye candy again. Noah shirtless again.
I can't get past the way that he's like portrayed as this like jock, this stupid jock. And even she calls him like stupid many times. And he somehow gets into Harvard when he gets into fights all the time.
They don't ever mention like he gets into a lot of fights, but he's really good at school, or he has all of these extracurriculars. There's so much suspension of disbelief that it no longer becomes that. It's just, this is what's happening.
I had to watch it in like 30-minute segments because I would get so bored because like I knew what was happening.
I clocked out at about 30 minutes and I started texting people. So they're back in school, getting ready for the kissing booth, I guess. Oh yeah, they had to do this presentation. That I completely forgot about the presentation thing. All I remembered was the British girl.
Yeah, and him making fun of her.
And they're all very like nerd stereotypes. The girl with the headgear and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're getting ready for the kissing booth, which is like the next scene. This is just a minor like throwaway thing that happens before we get to the main part of the movie, or like the main exposition, which is another thing that we'll get to. But they just start randomly like throwing paint at each other.
I didn't get that. In the middle of school too.
In the middle of school, like they didn't even mention last class of the day we like to goof around. Like there are ways of making it so that it makes sense even if it's not good. They were in the middle of this very nice classroom with everything around them, and other people were working and they were like cheering them on. Like, what is happening? If that happened next to me, I would be like, keep your stuff away from my project, thank you.
Right.
So now the main event, the kissing booth. Okay, this carnival thing, these happen in school, but they don't happen at night, and they don't happen like out on the lawn. They happen in the gym and you have a single table.
Yeah, and they don't look like they're actually good things. Like usually it's just like a prop up table or something. This was like full on like
it looks like an actual like carnival. They had a carousel.
I know. And they had like
a fancy carousel that looks like it came out of Disney. Why?
Also, I don't know how the school even approved the kissing booth. I feel like no school would ever approve that.
No, not at all. I guess because the students did it, but you still have to go through the school board to get everything approved. Yeah. You would just say, these are the ideas that we approved. Now you approve them. So they have the kissing booth. This is a very nice set. I like that they had it very simple with just the words in the background and the two bars. I like that it was very plain so that you could see the characters and have them stand out. I thought that was a good editing choice and like filming choice. It's still unrealistic, but you know.
So is everything in the movie. So.
And why did they going back to the paint fighting scene, they had like blue and yellow paint. If it's just red, why did they have that anyways? Everybody keeps going up, and they literally just have a stack of 5s. But then they also mention like you have to have a ticket. So is it tickets or money?
I don't know. Maybe the money gets you tickets, but
But people in line had tickets. That's why it doesn't make sense.
I
Make
don't
it
know.
make sense. So Elle goes up, and then Noah has this ticket. Actually, he didn't. I don't think. Did he pay? I don't think he paid. I think he just walked up. Anyway, so she's rambling, which makes sense because I feel like a lot of people do that with their
Yeah.
like first kiss, whatever. But so they kiss, it's whatever. She takes her blindfold off. It's like, oh no, exposition. And now the main part of the plot is over, and there's still an hour left of the movie. I feel like they told the important parts in compilations, but then they needed to fill up this extra space that they took away from the compilations. So why didn't they just have it play out? And it gets very boring. This is another point where I clocked out after about 15 minutes after the kiss because they had this whole thing.
Yeah, I kind of just went back and forth between this movie and TikTok because I got very bored during the movie.
Who in their right mind? She gets back home. Okay, let's start there. She gets back home after this night. She's very confused. So in her confusion, she makes a PowerPoint to decide the pros and cons of dating Noah. Why?
It was very. I remember that because she was just sitting in her bed, just and there was like 2 pros and like a bunch of cons, and she's like, "Yeah, this is a good idea."
And product placement for Max. Like, it was so obvious that they just had to add that in so that they could have the computer there. This movie has no logic, especially for product placement. Because I feel like Lee is like a very like techie dude. He seems like that type of person.
Mm-hmm.
So why doesn't he have like a nice gaming computer or something like that? She decides that it's a good thing, and now we're going to keep this secret from Lee. So there's another compilation of them together.
Of course.
Another compilation. So they have all of these like moments, back and forth, secrecy. There were a lot of throwaway lines and like throwaway gags, like how he would always cover her head, like the popcorn bucket.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
That was bad.
I clocked out again after this because I literally just went from compilations to Noah's anger management issues. I forget what this was about. I think, what was it? Was it the beach? I think it was the beach. Were they on the beach? Like, it was nighttime, and this one dude just comes up to her out of the blue. I don't even remember what happened or why it happened, but he was yelling at her about like, oh, you're just like, what did he say? Like, Lee's sloppy seconds? Something weird that no one would ever say. But Noah gets mad, he punches him. He has anger management issues. It's the same every single time, and it happens like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it kind of gets old.
It gets old really fast. This movie definitely has a big tone problem where they'll switch back and forth from serious moments to comedic moments really, really fast. Okay, so then we get to the green screen when she jumps on this trampoline to escape Noah's room. This looks so bad. It's not even like an we're editors so we can tell type of thing. It's so obvious. Anyways. So then we find out that Lee finds Elle, and there's this whole back and forth with conflict, and Elle gets mad at Noah because he didn't leave her alone, which valid because he didn't, even when she asked him like 3 times.
True.
But I feel like Lee is an idiot if he didn't notice anything.
Yeah, Lee is very dumb.
He's very dumb because he didn't notice, like, he didn't ever notice her car, or like Noah was out a lot when Elle wasn't responding to his text. Like, I would have figured that out in a minute. And there's just like so much running in this scene too, where there's a conflict where they're in the backyard, then they run to this side yard, then they run to the driveway, and then he drives away and Elle runs back to Lee. It was a lot. And Elle is really selfish too. Because she's like, this is my date. I'm like, you didn't talk to him at all. Are you surprised that he's surprised? He's still an idiot. But like, she's like, I care about both of you, but I also care about me. So I want to be independent, but I still want to be your friend and I still want to date you at the same time. All Elle cares about is Elle.
She's very moody.
Then we have this whole other compilation again of Lee not responding to Elle's texts and calls, and he's not really talking to her, and Noah's not really talking to her either. So with these rules, we need to talk about these rules.
They follow them, even though they said they made them when they're like 6, but they still follow the rules.
I feel like it would have made more sense had he like ripped up the list or said, those rules are stupid, we're done. And like at the beginning of the movie, and then at the end, she brings it to him and he's like, Rule 9. Like it would have made more sense. Logically, It would have been a better plot point and it would have been more emotionally driving. It doesn't really matter. This movie takes itself way too seriously. It's
like they don't take the things you think some people would take seriously, and then the things that don't even matter a lot.
It's just a lot of movies for something that's really simple. So then they have this prom, which I completely forgot about. I forgot that the prom even existed.
I didn't even remember that, honestly.
Also, why is she going to prom as a junior without a date as a senior? Because she's an underclassman. This is like the one thing that I actually liked about this movie. She's wearing this like orange dress. The dress itself is kind of ugly, but I liked that they had the rest of the prom in these kinds of blues and blacks and everything else, so she stood out. But the problem comes in because they didn't utilize it at all. Even when she was supposed to, I feel like they should have used more wide angles to show like, oh, she's standing out, this is our main character. I liked what they were thinking about, but it didn't work enough. If you're going to be campy about it, be really over the top and sell it with her giant dress, but instead it's just like this little thing that it looks like she got from David's bridal.
Yeah.
But that's just a minor aside. What I really didn't like, this pissed me off, was that when Noah comes out from behind the kissing booth thing, he's not wearing anything special at all. Mm-hmm. If they wanted to make them stand out, have them really stand out, he should have had like maybe an orange tie to match her dress or something like that. Does something happen? This is what I'm saying.
I don't even remember, honestly.
I think that they don't end up doing anything like at the Kissing Booth remake thing.
Because it just kind of goes in with the start of the second one.
Yeah, so he like tells her he's going away to college, and then I think they kiss, and it's just an ending thing with another compilation of them riding on their motorcycles in the summertime. So we're finally done with the movie. Great. So overarching thoughts.
I just thought it was like hard to stay focused during the movie, hence all the breaks I had to take during the movie. And I don't know, you kind of just knew what was going to happen, so it left you uninterested.
Overall, I feel like the actors did an okay job. They did an okay. I felt like the shots were really nice a lot of the time. They had nice cameras. They clearly had nice sets. But I feel like they didn't really think about it as a high school movie, and it felt more of like a fantasy type thing.
Yeah.
And it just didn't end up working. Overall, what rating would you give this movie?
Oh, it wasn't to the point where I was like, okay, let me turn this off, but it was still very bad, so I'm going to give it like a 3 out of 10.
For all of the questions that it left us with, and it was really long for a story that was really short, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10.
So overall, 2.5 out of 10.
2.5 out of 10. This movie's not great. It's just like rich white people complaining about their problems for 2 hours. We're finally done with the Kissing Booth Part 1. We're going to be reviewing the Kissing Booth Part 2 next week. I hope that you will keep on watching. Thank you for watching Flick Fridays, and we'll see you guys later. Bye!